I mean, I'm sure Elden Ring is great and all, but I'm more of a space war guy myself. The first electronic computers were built in the 1940s and were used to help decipher German codes in World War II, but like all new technology, it wasn't long before we asked ourselves how we could use it for mindless entertainment instead. Throughout the 1950s, academic facilities, pretty much the only places that had a computer, began independently experimenting with creating interactive games. These early games were just virtual versions of common games, like 1952's OXO, which is just tic-tac-toe. It wasn't until 1958 that we saw the game Tennis for Two, an original game that required a lot of setup for little presentation. 3 years later, we got Space War. Heck yeah, look at them go. Breath of the Wild, who? Space War was cool because it was widely available. If you could code and had access to a computer, you could play it, which was a very small amount of people at this point, but still. One of these guys, though, was Nolan Bushnell, who alongside with Ted Dabney made the first arcade game Computer Space, which was just Space War. It didn't go very well, but Bushnell and Dabney decided to start Atari the next year in 1972, and with the release of Pong, the arcade industry was ready to boom. But who cares about arcades? The year 2022 certainly doesn't. What we care about are consoles, and that same year of 1972 brought us the Magnavox Odyssey, the first ever home console. Later in 1975, Atari would join the home console market with their Telegames Pong console. Video games had their ups and downs at this time, but in '77, Atari released their new console, the Atari 2600. While not initially that successful, when Atari released home ports of arcade games like Pac-Man and Space Invaders, the console took off, selling 15 million copies during 1982. Video games were in the mainstream. Arcades were the place to be. Everyone was playing Pac-Man and Donkey Kong and, I don't know, Frogger probably. Even PC gaming was growing with the release of the Commodore 64, which was different than past PCs because it actually had cool graphics and it's still the best-selling computer model of all time. Then Atari released E.T., and everything went to The game was received so poorly and was such a bust that almost every US home console company disappeared, making it a perfect time for Nintendo to come and dominate the market with 1985's Nintendo Entertainment System, with the help of a game about a couple of plumbers. Nintendo then in 1989 advances video game technology even more by releasing the Game Boy. Now you can take video games wherever you want. The 90s sees video games become even more advanced. Look at this, 3D graphics, massive online role-playing games, licensing from sports teams and movies, and blood, what? Yeah, more detailed graphic violence also means that these games need a rating system, so good for you video games, you're just as legit as movies now. We move away from cartridges and move on to brand new Laserdiscs, something that two particular companies seem to excel at, Sony with their PlayStation and Microsoft with their Xbox. Even better, as we move into the 2000s, you can play these games with all your friends online. And to even further make sure that we never have to get up to do anything ever again, you don't even have to buy physical games from the store anymore, you can just download them. Video games are a more respected form of entertainment now than ever before. They're constantly advancing and becoming more cinematic, and with virtual reality in the metaverse, who knows what advancements to society video games will bring.
All right, perfect.